welcome back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving a 1964 Series 1 Jaguar XK-E, or E-Type, with a 3.8-liter straight six, or inline six, however you'd like to say it. It's the smoothest six you've ever driven. It feels incredible under your foot, and my goodness, is this gorgeous as a Roadster. So this is the car that Enzo Ferrari said was the most beautiful car ever made. High praise coming from a stubborn Italian auto manufacturer, and the British really knew what they were doing when they started designing this on paper, because every inch of this car is gorgeous. The front end takes up all of the real estate, probably about 60% of it, and then you're sitting pretty much right over the rear wheels. Now, it's a front engine layout, obviously, rear wheel drive, and the rear brakes are inboard. So if you look past these knockoff wheels, yes, there are no lugs here. You can't see any discs, but there are four-wheel discs. They're just tucked in the middle. Up front, we've got these gorgeous covered headlights, Lucas labels everywhere, Prince of Darkness, so maybe not a great idea to drive it at night. One of the coolest features of this car design-wise is just how tucked in these wheels and tires are to the body. I know today's kids, they want everything to be super flush, but if you look at this, my goodness, look at how much real estate there is between this tire and this fender. It's so beautiful. And if you did get stuck in the rain with the roof up, hopefully you've got triple wipers. The only things that I know that triple wipers these days are in modern cars is the new Hummer and the FJ Cruiser. I don't know if there's many other things out there. And you've only got one rear view mirror on the door. These little handles, man, I don't know who they designed these for, but they weren't meant for, you know, putting your hand up. It was definitely an under kind of deal, because even my small fingers can barely get through that. This has obviously been restored and loved, and this leather, this red leather, is incredible and impeccable. But before we get inside, let me show you under the hood, because this is where the party starts. To open the hood, we have two of those latches, one on each side. So it's a bit eventful to get in there. But you appreciate that this hood isn't going to just fly up on you. Not that it would, because it's enormous and it is a reverse hood. So pull up on here, we've got a latch, and the owner kindly put some Velcro there because these get really hot. It sits right up on the engine, and up we go. Now, you always want to make sure when you're opening an E-Type hood that the latch and the hinges are properly assembled, because what you don't want to have happen is you don't want this beautiful chrome bumper to slam into the ground, and if you're too close to a curb, that could be dangerous. But we're in the clear on this one because it is pristine. We've got triple SU carburetors under here for increased throttle response, and it looks like we've got a Jag coming up here right now.
Gorgeous.
What? You couldn't have picked a more appropriate car.
What are you doing?
We're just doing some videos and photography for it. We're selling it and I'm bringing a trailer. With the Jag plates. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. I've talked to so many people who are a huge fan of this thing today. But another thing, oh, that's the best. But another thing under here is that you have access to your whole front suspension. It's kind of like a Viper in the sense that you can just get in here and see everything. Man, modern and vintage. I love the dichotomy. Under here, we've got our exhaust manifold, easy to check our oil and brake fluid and all that stuff. But, you know, these are known for overheating. This one looks like it's been sorted pretty well. And it's only 50 degrees today. The last time I was out in a vintage Jag, a 4.2-liter Series 2, man, it was a little sketchy because it was about 100 degrees and I had a lot of red lights. It's always nerve-wracking. So we'll close this up and I'll show you the storage compartment. To get back there, we've got a little lever. We pop that and there's your trunk. Not a ton of trunk space, so yes, you could do a little weekend getaway, but it's gonna be tight. I love the center mounted exhaust. They look fantastic, and it's just so bizarre to see these skinny little tires poking out from beneath. And there's a bit of ground clearance on this thing too. They've got the rounded off body. So, you know, this isn't some slam sports car. And before we set off, let's lower this roof. It's very simple. We've got 3 latches, one here, here, and here. Just got to be cautious about where we've placed them so we don't get any interference on the way out. And then down she goes. Just want to make sure that we've kept everything kind of in line so we don't get any wrinkles. And there she is, our beautiful topless E-Type. Oh man, you just have to take another look around it because it just never gets old. This is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So let me show you the startup procedure in our Jag. We've got a 4-speed manual transmission. It's a little persnickety. We're not going to drive this crazy hard today, but we are going to make some lovely noises. So up front, we've got our ignition. We can turn that on. We have our choke. We have been running it so it's pretty warm. Put that up to the hot position as opposed to the cold position. And this is our ignition button. Jumps to life pretty darn quickly. And then, idling a little high, knock that down to run, and we're ready to go. Not much in the way of safety here. There's no seatbelt, and the steering column is basically designed to go through your chest, so let's hope we don't have any problems today. And like I said, this gearbox is a bit persnickety. This is a Moss box, the early days, and you can tell because reverse is over and up. I'm pretty sure that's the defining factor if you're wondering. And first and second are actually longer throws than third and fourth. That is an accurate depiction on the H pattern. And first gear is not synchronized and it whines quite a bit. It's a beautiful thing. Into first. You can hear that whine. Straight cut gears. Man, this thing just drives like a dream. can appreciate that we're not going to go out thrashing this car for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's just beautiful and we want to be kind to it. Number two, you know, I never really feel like a hot shot with a Moss box, okay? It's a delicate balance. I try to be cautious and shift slowly so that way I'm not going to grind any gears or anything like that. But at the end of the day, yes, this is a beautiful thing that we want to see, vintage racing and all that stuff, but it's also just an incredible roadster for enjoying the world. I mean, what better way to experience the outdoors than from your Jag E-Type? Now, even though this is the 3.8 liter, not the 4.2 like we saw in the Series 2, this still has a lot of torque and a lot of low-end torque. So it is pretty lovely to be able to be at low RPMs cruising along and not always feel like you've got to go for some aggressive downshift just to get some power out of it. You can always dip into that throttle and know that you're going to be able to get out of harm's way. The steering is manual, so you get all the feedback. I can feel all the texture of the road through my fingertips, and we've got this beautiful thin wood steering wheel. You're connected to the road by these skinny tires, which are on these wire spoke wheels, which are on knockoffs, not studs or lugs. So you definitely always feel like you want to give them a thwack before you go out for a drive to make sure that they're not going to fall off on you. And every time you go into a corner, at least for me, I am hyper aware of all of these things. The brakes give great positive feedback. They feel pretty advanced even for the time. I'm not sure if they've been like necessarily upgraded, but they do feel really strong. The revs drop incredibly quick, but it feels like the revs are dropping faster than the transmission necessarily wants to accept a gear, which is the same issue I had in the old, what was it, an XK-120 that I drove. That was the previous fastest car in the world in its day in the 1950s. But that's just it. It's like, you know, I find myself having to be really patient and slow with the shifts. And now it's my worst nightmare because I don't want to have to downshift. You going or? There we go. Oh, I'm bonding. We're able to get it off the line in second without coming to a complete stop to get this unsynchronized first gear back in. That's the stress, is driving this in modern traffic. Like, you've got to be really patient and plan ahead a little bit. So if you're looking for the most authentic British motoring experience, this is it. I mean, Moss box and all, it's going to give you the feeling of vintage motoring, the feeling that you are absolutely the only one in control and that your inputs matter. Patience is key, but man, the reward is a beautiful sounding symphony of 6 cylinders operating like a sewing machine. I mean, this is just such a smooth engine. So huge thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts for tossing me the keys. Thank you guys so much for supporting on Patreon, helping out, and thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Do not forget to respect the drive. No matter what you're in, spring is just around the corner and I'm getting my first taste, even though I am freezing cold out here with the top down. It's worth it. I'll see you in the next one.